not be purely designed. It might just be a comfort for our Team 12, right? It might just be something that they've practiced a lot.
Sure.
And I mean, because this map, I don't think is as cheesy as it used to be. I feel like when the objective scaled really late, you could run Asmodan, stacking his Q quest, right? You could do a lot more late game strategies, which generally involved huge, like GFE, we tried a backdoor comp and got destroyed, right? So like there are a lot more strategies when the game goes late, but when the objective is really important early on, you generally have to just pick a team, like a team comp that is really good at just fighting and brawling.
Yeah, and just something I also wanted to point out was that in terms of, I guess, comfort for both teams on this map, neither really have that impressive a track record on Volskaya Foundry, so it could just be trying to get this fight on a neutral battleground where neither team really has that advantage. I think that's what Team 12 are trying to do with this pick.
I also find it interesting that Dig was comfortable choosing Towers of Doom in the last game. It's not, generally speaking, an overly high priority map into Team 12 feels pretty comfortable. It's one of North America's favorite maps. So I felt like, I can't help but feel like that was a little bit maybe more of draft positioning that they wanted the second pick onto a map like that. But because they altered their ban's rating of Volskaya, now it's an opportunity here for Team 12. I feel like it's a huge win. The momentum of the last game here, the draft now here for Team 12, opening with a Blaze serial, things look very, very good. And adjustments here for Dignitas going with the Maiev over that of the Blaze.
Yeah, first team Dignitas Maiev.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to highlight this Tyrael pick by Team 12 because very last game we saw this exact same situation, right? You saw the Tracer ban, and Dig's response was Blaze Malfurion. So Team 12 feels like Tyrael is more important either against Maiev or with Maiev, and I think it's the synergy of Maiev Tyrael. I mean, because multiple NA teams picked Maiev Tyrael in that 1-2 when Malfurion was up, or against Malfurion. So I think that's what they feel like is too strong with Maiev. Like, you can't allow teams to have Maiev and Tyrael, and you really need to take it away.
Well, I guess as well, we were talking, we don't know yet what the best synergies are. We're still sort of learning because Maiev is such a new hero, but we definitely know that Maiev and that Tyrael go so well, as does the Maiev and Blaze. It's sort of something that you really don't want to see. If you get all three of them on that draft, you're looking at some really scary stuff.
Okay, so Tychus is generally not picked in the 2-3.
Yeah.
But the reason I like this Tychus Malfurion is what tanks are good with that. Okay, so you have ETC and you have Stitches. They can only ban one, and they've already picked 2 tanks. So they are going to get either a Stitches into Malfruit into Tychus, which sounds like a very scary composition and comfort for Dig, or they're going to get that ETC, which is just as good.
The old double pull.
Yeah.
Stitches Maiev.
Throw them Medivh in there, you can gorge them, and then pull them like all the way back to your keep. It'd be pretty crazy.
It'd be nasty.
Yeah, I mean, so we kind of, the drafts, I feel like we're going to see Tracer banned for the rest of the series.
I agree with you. I think it's very likely that that will be the case, but I can't help but wonder after this game and the performance that we're going to see out of Dig is this is the first Maiev that we've seen them have, and they struggled against that here for Team 12. If maybe that's going to be also kind of this, you know, kind of taboo section of Heroes of the Storm drafting, because for at least for this series, right? Because we talked about the kind of inter-meta that happens in a best of 5, and suddenly we're seeing it unfold. The Tracer now and that kind of adjustments, and I can't help but feel, again, Maiev is a part of that problem. But the Tychus pickup for me, I do agree with you. I like the synergy choice because of, again, the warrior choke and manipulation there, but I am a little bit skeptical with the priority and how high up it is. It's going to deal well with that of Team 12. I just feel like there's a reason that's a niche pick in this type of situation, right?
Yeah, you didn't need to, I guess, pick it so early on because generally spoken, it's not really a hotly contested pick, right? Like, but this is, I guess, Dignitas signaling that they really did want to secure that early because they feel like this is what's going to help their strategy succeed in terms of winning that on Volskaya Foundry with such a beefy frontline presented.
Yeah, and I generally would not be a fan of it, but the reason I really like it in this situation is they first picked 2 tanks, and Tychus is a tank counter, right? So it's not only good against the opponent's conk, but it also is something where, okay, they have the option to go into ETC and Stitches, and Team 12 recognizing that of, okay, they either can pick a good tank with ETC or a good tank with Stitches, we're just going to prioritize banning the solo lane.
Oh, I feel like this might be a respect ban now, finally coming out, taking away Buzz, his favorite healer, Rhaegar. What is he going to get forced onto now?
I mean, the pushback Tyrael, you have the one invulnerability, so moving something like the Uther wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities, but they'd have to get some form of a hyper carry with that. If that was going to be the option they went with, I would assume it would be like a gray main to be able to back that up, have the old school all-in style of play, but I don't think by any means are they going to be forced into it. I think it's very much up to Team 12 at this point. Their composition is so blank-ended with their first 2 picks. It's just objective strength, and they haven't committed to anything in the bans outside of the Tracer, which again, in this matchup, we consider objective strength. The Leo responsive to that of the Tychus on the other side, like very much, it's they're going to have to choose an identity of this composition in these next two picks. And right now, there's nothing that forces them in either direction. So I'm without any data on this map, I'm just like, Team 12, what do you got? Let's see what their thought process is going to be. And it's back to the Junkrat.
As well as the Stukov. I like the Stukov here. I mean, Silence is generally a really strong ability. But on this map especially, it's really strong just because like they're forced to stand on that objective, right? So you're able to get a lot of silence value, or you force someone to overextend to stop him from channeling that silence pool. And just like Dread said, the Junkrat coming out again, I mean, they were so successful last game with it. I don't know if it'll be as good in this composition because it did feel like there was a lot of synergy with the Maiev and the Junk, but I mean, Dansky played a really good Junkrat. I mean, I don't think composition is necessarily as important with that hero. It's more about like individual skill.
And team skill around the mines.
Yeah.
And I mean, with that Junkrat, we saw, I guess, yeah, Dansky was playing that one quite convincingly. But Dread, we were saying, when are they going to bring out the weird and wacky stuff? And I feel like the Junkrat was also kind of a key to that. Dignitas perhaps also not really expecting it, being like, all right, how are they going to play it? Let's see. But I am worried, like you were saying, Michael Udall, is with that Junkrat, it's not really one of his, I guess, he doesn't really get played that much on Volskaya Foundry, and I'm a bit worried in that regard.
Yeah, and it looks like it is going to be the Arthas ETC coming out for Team Dignitas, getting a very beefy front line. So they do pick to go the ETC over the Stitches. I like that. I mean, I feel like the W, you know, ETC's face melt, being able to stop Stukov pool as well as Junkrat is a pretty big one because generally Junkrat's escape, if he gets, you know, gone on, he drops his own W down and he tries to, you know, jump off of his concussive mine. But ETC kind of disrupts that, right? Because if you W and get him in a weird spot, he could theoretically fly into your team instead of flying away from your team. So I like the ETC pick here. It is really strong. They have a lot of synergy with they have a very, very, very scary format. I said very a lot because I'm terrified looking at it. You have ETC Mouth, Tychus, Maiev. That screams they're going to kill people.
But I think it's been matched pretty well on the side of Team 12 with at least maybe not going toe-to-toe in the skirmishes and the control and threat of the kill potential you're kind of alluding to, but the Junkrat Blaze is going to single-handedly pretty much secure control over the map within the 1-4 for Team 12 if they would like to do so. We're going to have the very first Hanzo picked at the Western Clash. Very last slot there for Team 12.
Yay! I'm actually really excited because no team's really been picking him up after the latest round of nerfs. And I guess a lot of that is because they're like, you know, Stormbow we feel like is the only real viable build. No one really picking up multi-shot too much, but I'm just really excited to see how he plays, where is his strengths currently at the moment, and how are they going to use him because it gives him a lot of poke now for the objective.
Where has Hanzo been, Mike? Why is this the first time that we're seeing him after he was in every draft ever in Part 1?
I mean, so there was the nerf, but I think the biggest thing is that the meta shifted, right? We had like a lot of double support, just a lot of, okay, we're going to sit back and poke with Hanzo. And the meta shifted to, okay, we're diving. And you see these heroes like Tyrael, Blaze, Maiev coming out where it's a lot of like dive or running at you. And Hanzo's not very good in that situation. But I love the Hanzo pick here because there's not very much threat for him, right? Hanzo is very afraid of someone like a Genji or Tyrael where they can speed up to you. Like Hanzo is very good at poking from afar, but if people are able to speed up onto him, it's really scary because his only, you know, escape is his D, and you can only use that over walls. So ETC is like the scariest threat for him, but he's always able to outrange the ETC. So I think a beautiful Hanzo pick here.
I feel like this is kind of a really unique moment, just in the fact that obviously having the Hanzo, it's kind of creative and it busted out. And Hanzo objectively was very powerful. You see the kind of nerfs come in. And way back, man, I'm going to bring it back a year and a half back, MVP Black bringing out Morales in a really unique situation where it was considered not viable. But everybody knew Morales was one of the best supports in the game. She just can't keep herself alive. And I feel like Hanzo's kind of fallen into that caliber right now. But when we see them bring it out, it was only in the case of having a double failsafe, having 2 invulnerabilities or 1 disengage and 1 invulnerability. And I really like that, at least with this Hanzo coming out, it's with the thought process of having the disengage with the bunker and then having the Tyrael sanctification to be able to keep him up. So I think it's a really cool use to bring him out.
All right, well, let's get into predictions then, starting at the end.
It's so hard. I'm going to go with Team 12. I've swapped back and forth. I just think the poke with the Junkrat and the Hanzo, as well as the disruption for the engage, I feel like is going to be really strong.
Andy?
I don't want to like see what Dred's prediction is because whatever you've been smoking or having today, it's been right. But in saying that, I actually am still going to back Dignitas. I do like the Hanzo, yes, but one thing that I wanted to sort of say was that Maiev is staring at the Hanzo, and that's also a big reason why he, like you said, with that meta shift, why he hasn't been picked as much.
I am going to go with Team 12 based on the double fail-safe opportunity, and also because this is the first game we've seen Dignitas pick Maiev, and we have no reason to believe that they're going to be overly dominant with macro on Volskaya.
Yeah, between Junkrat being able to knock people away, you've got Stukov who knocks people away, you have Bunker, you have Sanctification, and you have a Dragon's Arrow to slow things down. I think there is a ton of disruption available to Team 12 to stop the Maiev. They very quickly locked in, like they felt like they had the counter to Maiev, and it's, in my opinion, a more NA-focused map. So I'm going to vote for Team 12 too. What do you guys think at home? That's my big question. Do you still feel the same about Dig?
It's shifting.
It's tying up. Maybe if Team 12 wins this one, then we'll have more of a 50-50 favor. Let's head back over to the casting desk with Trixler and Jhow for Game 3.
We haven't seen a Hanzo in a while. It's pretty exciting stuff.
I'm ready for it. I mean, I kind of wondered, you and I were just sitting back here talking about, will we see the Hanzo? Will we see the Greymane?
Yeah.
What will we see? We finally get ourselves our first Hanzo, and I'm excited about it.
Dude, I love watching Dragon Arrows when they hit with 5 people. Oh, it's so impactful. Here we go. On the left side, in the blue, Dignitas. Maiev being played by Snitch, Poik on Tychus, Wubby on ETC, Zelia playing Malfurion, and JPL will play Arthas.
On the right side, in red, will be Team 12, trying to take a lead in this series, as it will be Goku on Blaze, Justin on Tyrael, Buds on Stukov this go-around, Dansky on Junkrat, and Cure on Hanzo.
Now, I'm very curious to see what the build will be for Hanzo. The auto-attack build has been nerfed pretty dramatically. We've been hearing from a lot of players that, okay, it's nerfed enough to where we're looking at other builds. W builds seem to be pretty popular in North America, but we see Cure moving into the Q build. While it is strong when you finish that level 1 quest, it gives you nice safe poke, and you're able to float back on the backside and be safe behind your front line. And their front line is nice here. You got Blaze and Tyrael together.
Yeah, having that increased range as Hanzo in more ways than one, as well as that agility, I think is definitely something that they'll have to go with. That was actually a really nice pull into a root, but there was a concussion mine that said, you know what, I got my own tricks too.
That Junkrat has proved to be very strong for Team 12, helping them win in game number 2, tying up the series. I believe Dignitas will be able to handle that better. This is actually one of the first times that we'll be seeing Maiev played by Snitch, which gets me excited. Whenever Snitch pulls off a new hero, man, my blood gets pumping.
Dude, he's literally probably the epitome of a flex player. Dude does it all for his team. He's been doing it for so long that we almost take him for granted on how good this player is.
I mean, he's actually reduced his hero pool since 2017 because he just wanted to make sure they're a little bit more focused on his heroes. But in 2017, there was a point where he had 27 different heroes played over the span, I think, of like 50 matches. It was actually impressive.
He's a heck of a player, to say the least, a long-standing member of a long-standing top team in Europe. But as we approach our Western Clash here at the beginning of 2018, Team 12 trying to establish themselves after a pretty good 2017 of their own.
They seem to really appreciate mercenary camp timing as they grab the merc to the top right. Now, those mercenary camps, they can be annoying. They're not something that's going to be too hard for Dignitas to deal with, but the turrets are the main focus of action. I was actually talking to Michael yesterday behind the scenes when we were watching one of the matches, and I was talking to him about the healing mercenary camp at the top, and they actually feel like it's been nerfed pretty dramatically. It's not as strong as it used to be. So it's mostly the turrets that are the main mercenary camp that you're wanting to go for. You're wanting to get that stationary damage that you can set up around an area. You
know, what's really cool what teams are doing now is that they prioritize it so early that by the time they go into that control point phase, they'll go get it again, and then they walk into a fight with 2 turrets. Man, that lurking arm.
Annoying.
Just a bit, as Snitch is like, hey guys, this is starting to hurt. I'm gonna walk away from this, and I'm gonna hearth. Please don't hit me anymore.
And going back to your point on the turrets as well with the insta-cast. Oh, they're so easy to put down in the middle of a fight. It feels so natural now. So Dignitas already having one on their side with Zelia controlling it for the moment. We'll keep an eye on more turrets coming out soon as Snitch will go for a more standard timing that we've been seeing for a lot of teams, grabbing the merc camp on the top left side, get that pushing while the control point pops up. If you see anyone go up there to deal with that, you're able to grab a few more points on that control point.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things around the control point will be the priority on soaking in the meantime, because experience is fairly even, slightly in favor of Dignitas. Junkrat has pretty good clear, has the concussion mine in case things get a little bit sneaky. He can either knock somebody away or knock himself away. So he'll try and rotate between those. He also has to deal with the camp that was picked up by Dignitas.
Yeah, that's a good point. With the latest buff to the Protector, hang on. Howling Blast is here with JPL. Okay, just be more annoying as they continue to contest the area. It's all about how do you deal with the experience on the side? How do you soak that? But how do you get the point as well? Because it feels like it's come to a point where it's shifted where the robot is more important than actual experience with how much damage it can do.
Yeah, right now, the robot is in a really good place. That Protector does so much damage. maintaining several structures going down in the early part of the game gives you such a huge advantage. And I think that right now teams where maybe 3 weeks ago not prioritizing it, but now there's no way you don't contest this first one.
I mean, it makes me happy because I like watching robots destroy things. It's why I watch Pacific Rim. But it also makes me a little bit sad. I miss Asmodee, Global Stacks coming in there. I mean, that was so cool from Heroes Hearth. Those late game strategies, Murky Abathur in Hero League was actually incredibly powerful. Maybe one day it would have came to competitive play, but those have fallen off dramatically because that robot has become so much stronger. And now it's more about controlling that early game, which is where Arthas excels. JPL is controlling the space so well. Justin is being annoying, but he doesn't care. He's got Frostborn.
He's fine. You know, Trixler, I'm no Kaldor. I actually like when we talk about off-meta heroes because I like to play them too. So you can sell me on a Murky Abathur all day as Justin taking a bit of damage on that front line from the Tychus. That's actually forcing several members back. Bud's in a bad spot as he's trying to walk away. The root just misses. But in the meantime, we've got the Protector being fully channeled here by Team Dignitas.
Dignitas easily grabs it, and they go to work on this wall. Look at that turret within 2 abilities. Busted down to a quarter health. Finally finished up with the auto attacks as well. Dignitas waiting for that turret to recharge and put out a few more shots as well. That's 2 turrets down within 10 seconds.
Yeah, I think the key part is if you're watching at home, watch the bars where the experience lies. It was just even a moment ago when these structures go down with the gameplay changes, they are such a significant amount of experience now that just getting the wall down itself, I mean, they are jumping ahead by leaps and bounds here.
And you notice how Dignitas has paired Arthas with this Protector? One, so Maiev can run to the middle lane, soak up the lane, can have ETC also in the bottom as well. But the idea is that if anyone goes in on the tank should be able to survive long enough for the Protector to put damage on heroes. It's actually pretty darn strong at beating up in PvP areas. The problem is it's so strong that your opponent typically doesn't want to move for an engage, so you just take structures instead. But the idea of putting a tank near that Protector makes it much easier for you to get value out of sieging down, but also to make sure that the target that is nearby the Protector can be defended.
One of the key things there was the armor reduction because the vehicles in our game count as heroic targets. So things like that with Hanzo trying to reduce that armor with the sharpened arrowheads is having some effect. And also we see Hanzo, he's got 4 out of his 5 stacks on that Q build at level 1. So for Cure on that backside, things are becoming a little bit safer and a little bit more dangerous if you're on the side of Team Dignitas to deal with Cure on that Hanzo.
Constant turrets being grabbed here. I just realized there's a lot of turrets in this battleground. There's turrets in the actual infrastructure. There's turrets in terms of an item, and then there's turrets on the Protector. We need to classify some things a little bit better.
I mean, if you say turrets and you're not sure which one, you're technically never wrong.
That's true. I think I'm gonna start calling the one on the Protector the Gunner. So we know what that we're talking about, right? The Gunner shelling down. And then we only have 2 turrets. That makes it easier, 50-50.
I'll drive a robot with you, 2-man robot.
Dude, our robot would be the best robot.
Are you the driver or the shooter?
Dude, I'm the shooter. I can't drive. Have you seen me play Cho, Gall? Have you seen me play Cho? I don't want to be the legs anymore, man. Kier getting some poke in the top lane. We do have the 10 finally here. This is actually a pretty deadly combo. Dragon's Arrow into a Junkrat tire can be deadly if it lands on our target. Looking for someone like Maiev, trying to get that health pool a little bit lower, or even a Malfurion. Be a little bit hard to pull off with that ice block later on, but Team 12, they definitely have team fighting tools available to them.
Yeah, and I think it's something to consider here is that oftentimes you're looking for the big play on the back line, and while that is a conceivable way to play, you also have 2 targets that Arthas doesn't have mobility. ETC can slide out, but if he's already slid in, he is a primary target to be hit with that. So if you can get the Storm Bolt or Storm Arrow onto 2 members on the front line while simultaneously hitting that, it's actually conceivable that you go towards that front line. As we actually saw a little bit of anti-synergy there, the Howling Blast came in, but the grenade pushed him just outside of that root range.
Unlucky there, because they were set up for a kill. The Howling Blast, if that connected, Maiev would have taken that teleport, finished off the Vengeance, grabbed the bind, and then pulled a target in, and Team Dignitas would have tried to get a kill. But for the moment, they are still heading experience to a decent full level as Team 12 comes over, does a little bit of harassment. With turrets being up here on the left side, Team Dignitas is in a nice defensive spot, with a control point being around the corner, typically around 13. That's where we're going to see our next fight looks like.
It's going to be a big one because the first Protector does quite a bit more damage than previously. ETC's got to be careful. They're trying to get onto him. Do we see the Dragon Arrow coming out? They get the slow, but not enough damage there. I almost wondered if they'd be willing to commit that cooldown for one big kill there.
Yeah, Kier got a little bit too close there. Remember the distance, the further you are away, the longer the stun will be. If he did pop it off there, we'd have to do it probably towards the middle of the map. So I think that's why they decided not to go with it. If they got a little bit lower, could have definitely gone in for it. But it's more of a, okay, well, we reacted a little bit too quickly here.
Good reaction times indeed. You said 13 would be here around the control point. Not quite here yet. You can see Cure with that explosive arrow at level 4, clearing those minion waves. He has completed his quest talent at level 1, so that getting that range, getting that damage is all about poke here. They still have their fort to fall back to, but they lost their well, I believe, at some point after the Protector. So that is a major advantage if you're on the side of Team Dignitas, still having the gate and the well to fall back to.
While you're talking about quest, actually, the dash picked up at level 1 for Tychus is about to finish up one more region globe, and he'll be good to go, getting that increased range. And then Arthas also at the 12 stacks on his level 1 of the 20 he needs to also root the enemies in the path, which is actually pretty devastating when you have multiple melees in the opposing team. Hang on, arrow comes out. Poi takes some damage, kiting away. Gonna be up to healing on the top left corner. Zalia hoping to help out his teammates. Bunker pop on the back left for Junkrat as well, but Snitch has to jump out.
He has to jump out. Sanctification was clutch there as it neutralized quite a bit of damage. Snitch, you can see him trying to re-engage while at the bottom right. Wubby gets the power slide. Justin not able to make it out. He's going to get some trait value, but with the members of Dignitas so well healed, they're going to look to continue to engage. Goku trying to walk away. He has that level 1 unstoppable.
He's so low.
Goku somehow stays alive and dodges out of there. That was minuscule health survival there.
Just barely getting the heal, but here's the issue. Snitch was already on the control point during that fight. He got knocked away in the early stage, and now he'll be able to get a good 58% on top of that control point. Will Team 12 move over and try to contest? Looking a bit difficult here as they have to wait for the Tyrael.
It is very difficult. I don't know if they'll be able to re-engage, but they have the tools again with the Hanzo. On Cure on there, getting that armor reduction with that level 7 talent, having that extra range, that extra poke. It looks like they're actually going to make their way up. Remember, stage dive, 15 seconds away, so Dignitas, they're just going to back out, wait for ETC to have that off cooldown before they try and re-engage. But with ETC down there, that's getting them closer and closer to 16.
That's right. They could even move to the middle lane and soak that if they would like. They decide not to do so. Looks like they want to fight the moment stage dive is up. Zalia already positioning to move in and follow up with the root if he needs to. Starting to control the point, and Team 12, realizing that Dignitas is starting to move in and they see ETC disappearing from the map, they're going to go ahead and back away. And this will be a second robot for Team Dignitas.
Yeah, I think they realize that it's a zero-win situation, because if you leave ETC down there just soaking, by the time you get anywhere near 100% on that, because it is a channel, they could just come in and contest that. So they'd rather take their chances fighting 14 to 15. 16 will likely be picked up in the middle of this Protector phase, but the odds of defending are much easier, I think, if you're on the side of Team 12. So they made a calculated decision, weighing the risk versus reward. I think they're playing a little bit more for the long game, and I actually like the call a lot.
Goku gets power slided on. Wubby blocking, stopping the jet propulsion. He still gets stunned. Bunker also being used. Goku turns around for a little bit of harassment. At least they get the cooldown, but one of the issues about that cooldown, it's pretty darn short.
It's short, 40 seconds. It's available for all those panic moments at any given time. Now 16 here for Dignitas. They're pushing and starting to open this map up. They're going to prioritize the wall, maybe get the fort, also look towards that well. The next capture point will be at the bottom lane. So they want to prioritize, open this up, making sure that Team 12 does not have the retreat point, similar to the way that they had in that top lane without that well up there. But here, this is open wide.
This is actually really interesting. We talk about the bunker cooldown being so low, but Dignitas still finds a way to punish the small cooldown by using the Protector. They bring it towards the south side, and Team 12 has to respect the idea of a Maiev dive coming their way because they have no protection. Their Sanctification would have been helpful, but they wouldn't have the bunker right away. So Dignitas just easily takes the fort with that 16 and that small window. Clever play by them.
Trick, I can't help but look at the experience, look at the time, and also realize that our next control point is at the bottom. And the conveyor belts down there create a dynamic that is unheard of in any other battleground in Heroes of the Storm, and it is so wild the way that that works. And you look at Maiev, and if she can get some people pulling around on those conveyor belts, it could be a scary fight for Team 12. So I wonder if they're going to try and maybe look for a fight before then, because we haven't had those big team fights yet.
Wild is definitely a word that you can use for that fight down there. One of my favorite things, too, is to take the turrets and throw them on the conveyor belts and just have them constantly spinning around. I actually think it's inefficient and doesn't really help out, but it looks darn cool. Team Dignitas will be setting up for that fight later on as they grab their turret on the left side, but Team 12 also has a turret. But one of the main issues, too, is that Team Dignitas has actually 2 healing items on their purse. They have it available for them. They can drop it in the middle of the fight, and that's Sustain. Incredibly helpful, especially against Hanzo. If they get the arrow and don't get a kill right away, Junkrat poking from the left, I don't think they can even get a kill, Team 12.
It's a hard reset after that. I mean, they got to commit a lot to those team fights and to get those kills, and I think you're spot on with that assessment there, so we'll see how that plays out. Right now, Team 12, they're playing it neutral. I think they're just going to look. But similarly to what we saw on that previous control point trick was that ETC just stayed clear on the other side of the map, has that global stage dive. Junkrat can soak, but so can ETC. And I think that timing-wise, we might see kind of that similar play around potentially that 20-tier advantage of Team 12 doesn't do a whole lot in the meantime.
Yeah, 18.25 for Dignitas. They can soak up to 19 before that protector comes available. There will still be a fight available for Team 12, but you're right, the timer for Team 12 is getting smaller and smaller. And I'm kind of wondering when they're going to try and force that fight. Remember, they always have Dragon's Arrow. They can definitely force an engage if they want to. It just has to be pixel perfect.
Pixel perfect indeed. I mean, again, the execution is high on this. You can see Snitch looking for an opportunity. Goku, he's going to be grabbed in there. Bunker is available if needed. He's going to go ahead and drop that, trying to stay alive. There's one of the healing pulses allowing for that sustain. The cage is out.
Army of the Dead also being used as well. Oh my, Blaze gets chunked down. Finally does fall. Wubby on the top right, keeping Dansky away from the area. And Dignitas easily gets that kill, surprisingly.
Yeah, I mean, Sanctification was just a little bit off. They're not able to create that space, and that's what the Warden's Cage does. I mean, but all of a sudden, stage dive. Cure has that agility. He's going to dive over, but with Dignitas where they stand, Trick, they're going to be 20 soon. Should be another protector going over to them pretty soon, and now we're going to start looking at keeps going down in this game.
Yeah, Bud's a good flipper, knocking everyone away from that fight. Had he not done so, ETC would have gone in for the power slide into the knockback. 19.5 in experience, that kill and the 4 being picked up. Dignitas has every item they can get on the field, only Poik not having an item for the moment. And Dignitas actually not moving straight in for the point with 5 members. They're going to open up this bottom wall instead. And why not? When you have the space and you know your opponent's playing defensive, you see Tyrael in the top lane, take 4 other members and get more value on the map. They did a little bit of damage to that keep wall, but decided to go ahead and finally pull away and get 20 safely.
Yeah, there's no risk involved there. I mean, you walk right up there, your minions are there, you know that you can, posture up safely, and then all that does is empower the next protector because you'll be able to just push down that lane. You soften it up, it just makes the protector that much stronger, less damage to go through. Poik finally gets his item. There we go. He's like, look, all you guys got one, I want one too.
Look at him, man. Just walking with that item, looking great and dandy. Has his own turret to go along with his minigun and his big Odin shots. That big red button, which has now been picked up because of level 20.
This is that moment where every professional team at the highest level understands that Team 12, they have to get structures down. That's the best way to obtain experience in Heroes of the Storm. And by pushing that top lane, it means that you are nowhere near the bottom lane. And that allowed Dignitas to just siege up in this bottom lane. Now, they get close to 20, this Team 12, but Trixler, if this keep goes down...
It's going down.
I mean, we're looking at potential game now.
If they get a pick, Dignitas can go for the win. Team 12 doing their best to defend. Protector is still at a decent healthy size here, about 80% of their health bar. Justin goes into the back line. Blaze as well. Kier's trying to fight. He's already low, though. He's been chunked.
He's getting chunked. He's got to get out of there, and you can see the Protector has his eyes fully set, and he is splashing that damage as down goes Stukov, and we are looking at the Protector still with 50 seconds left, about 20% health, with 2 members down on the side of Team 12. Dignitas looking to end.
Dignitas with 4 kills in this game and impeccable macro, has gotten a huge lead over their opponents, have taken the Protector straight to the core. They have deleted Hanzo. They might be looking at Junkrat 2. Snitch sharking around for it. The core starting to fall. They're playing a little bit cutesy here, trying to say, you know what, game number 2, you guys able to get a win, but game number 3, not so much. Dignitas with a 2-1 lead over Team 12.
Well-deserved 2-1 lead. A shutout in terms of kills, having 6-0 there, Trick. And it just seemed like that first Protector opened up the door to kind of get that experience advantage, and then a couple of picks is all it took. They were able to control the second control point, control that third one. And again, Team 12, that's always, you're kind of behind the 8 ball there, right? It's like, all right, look, we've got to get experience. So the best way you can do it safely is to push the complete opposite end of the map. Dignitas just immediately pushed in the bottom, got the Protector, and they were able to end the game. It's a very tough balance in that situation for Team 12.
Yeah, the defense on a Protector is very difficult to pull off, and it gets worse when you don't have a global available to even match that